Chapter 17. It wasn't long before they saw the door. It hung ajar at the end of the tunnel, two thick bolts jutting from the door like teeth. "Strange door," Hammond said. "One bolt for the cellar, one for the tunnel," Gil said. "Both sides would have to be unlocked for the door to open." "It's a true store," Rhea said. "They're all over the castles in the barony." "Why is it here?" Hammond asked. Millie grinned. "Must be worried you'd steal the potatoes." Hammond frowned, but Gil spoke. If they were scared of thieves, they would only have put a bolt on the cellar's side. "They didn't want anyone leaving this cellar and visiting the sick house," Rhea said. Gil grimaced. "Good reason. Still, seems like Wokus has been using the tunnel as a secret pass into Gwent all term. Didn't you see the bag he was carrying? Don't know what was inside, but it wasn't turnips." Gil looked into the cellar's forest of shelves, crates, and barrels. Where is he now? They entered cautiously, but the cellar seemed deserted. All was still amidst the rows of iron. "He's gone upstairs," Hammond whispered. "Can't have. There must be a dozen knights stationed above our heads. They would have grabbed him. Everyone's supposed to be in bed, including us, remember?" Hammond grunted, and they inched deeper into the cellar. Rhea peeked down a long row, eyes scouring the patches of torchlight. "Then he must be in here." Gil's hand fell to the sleeping potion at his belt. Millie's stylus appeared in her hand, and Hammond drew a deep breath. "Let's find him." They scanned the cellar, waiting for a shift in the darkness or the scuff of a boot. They wove up and down the aisles, and with each empty row, Gil felt more certain Wokus would be crouched around the next. They searched back and forth, on and on. Gil rounded the last corner and stopped, confused. "We're back to the door." "He's a good hider, but maybe we can smell him. Come here, Ash." Millie walked to the door, and Ash sprang after her, tail high. Millie knelt beside the doorknob and pointed. "Track." Ash sniffed the door. His snout ran down the door and hovered an inch over the ground. His tail bounced, and he trotted into the cellar. Gil and the others hurried after Ash, who was hugging the wall. Gil expected the trail to dart into the protective shelves at any moment, but the trail was unwavering, and Ash beelined along the wall. They were nearing the corner of the cellar where the path veered left around the shelves. Still, Ash trotted, nose down. He was heading right for a cluster of cider barrels in the corner, but he was too focused on the trail to realize. He was going to crash. "Ash!" Gil hissed, but the dog continued forward, running now with excitement. The barrels loomed closer, and Gil realized Ash would crash into them at any moment. The crash would draw the knights, who would take them to the detention house at best. More likely, their time at Hazeltop would come to a crashing end. At the last moment, Ash skidded to a halt, whiskers brushing the first cider barrel. He bounced from paw to paw, tail wagging. They stopped behind him, puffing as much from excitement as from exertion. "You hish-wishy," Millie said, patting Ash. "That's a barrel, not Wokus. Can't blame you for confusing the two, really." Hammond chuckled, and Gil and Rhea exchanged a look. Ash was trailing something, and barrels don't walk, Gil said. "They do roll," Millie replied. Gil ran a hand over the barrel. "Even so, someone has to roll them. A breeze won't shift a barrel of cider." He rapped against the planks to make a dull, muted thump. "See?" He pushed against the barrel, shifting it a handspan away from the other casks. Hammond grunted. "Okay, it's heavy, but Wokus..." Ash sprang through the gap Gil created and squirmed deeper into the field of barrels. His tail wove through the woodwork until it froze beside a barrel wedged into the corner of the cellar, nearly hidden in the shadows. "Isn't in that barrel," Hammond finished. "What about that one?" Millie asked. She climbed in after Ash, stepping around barrels and over them when necessary. Hammond's long frame allowed him to slip around the barrels with surprising ease, Gil and Rhea followed clumsily. The oddments in Gil's cloak dinged against casks. Hammond looked back. You'd be a terrible thief. I was never caught. Like you've stolen anything, Hammond said. Had both your brains been stolen, we're looking for Wilkes, remember? Millie stopped beside Ash and inspected the corner barrel. It looked ordinary enough. Wooden bands encircled the planking. The boards were sealed with resin. A fine layer of dust coated the cask, just like all the others. Only the lid was different. There's no dust on the lid, Rhea said. They all looked surprised. Millie rapped the barrel. A loud, hard noise bounced around the cellar. Empty as my bookshelf. Cider must have leaked out. This barrel has been here ages, Hammond said as they huddled around. Gil ran a hand around the top of the cask. The wood was smooth, dark, and without dust. As his hand reached the far side, he felt a chip in the barrel. It was no more than a finger's width, but it was enough. He pulled and was not surprised when the lid popped free from the cask. Gil peered in with Hammond and Rhea. There was no Wilkes. There was no ground. A dark chamber hung from the bottom of the barrel. A ladder was mounted to the inside of the cask and descended into the dark void. Hammond let out a low whistle. What do you see? Millie asked sharply. Darkness, Gil said. Hammond stepped over the barrel and lowered himself to the first rung. And a ladder. Come on. Whatever Wilkes is doing here, it isn't good. We should bring Master Vale down here, Rhea said quickly. I wish we could, Gil said, but there are knights stationed above us. They have orders to lock up any students not in their rooms. We'd spent the night in the Iron Hall. You could use magic to sneak past them, Rhea said. Too slow, Hammond said. Masters are probably holed up somewhere trying to make a plan. By the time we find them, who knows what Wilkes will have done. This is our chance. Hand me one of those lights. Gil pulled the other glower from his belt. He flipped the orb and shook it. A warm orange bubbled to life. He handed the glower to Hammond, who tucked it into his robe and descended the ladder. Gil followed suit. The ladder was sturdy, and soon he was dropping step by step into an earthy tunnel. Roots marbled the soil, and humid air clung to his neck and hands. Rhea followed soon after. Before long, Gil's feet touched ground. The chamber around them was suffused with orange and gold light from the glowers. Gil touched down, and Gil looked up for Millie. She was not on the ladder. Aren't you coming? He called. Her head appeared at the barrel's mouth. You all go on without me. I can't leave Ash up here without me. Hammond frowned. We need you, and he'll be fine until you get back. Come down here. I can't carry him, and I won't leave him, Millie said, her voice hard. We don't have time to waste, Hammond called. Hurry up. Gil touched Gil's arm. Rhea touched Gil's arm. She needs Ash. Wouldn't a few drops of a weight distillant work to lighten the dog for a few minutes? If we had a full apothecary in 10 minutes with a cauldron, sure. Rhea sighed and turned to Hammond and cut him off. Use a hover charm on Ash. Hammond cracked a smile. Yeah, and I'll use my other spells to lift you two up for the fun of it, will I? Neither of them smiled, and he frowned. You're serious? It's the only way we bring Millie with us, Rhea said. Hammond glanced between her and Millie some 30 feet overhead. His jaw worked. You'll come down with Ash. Millie nodded, and Hammond spoke. Gravorium. Ash floated over the barrel and drifted down the tunnel. His gaze never left Millie, who struggled down the ladder after him. She groped from rung to rung, and when she reached the floor with Ash, she hugged Hammond fiercely. Thank you. They broke away awkwardly. Right, Hammond said. Time we find Wilkes. A dozen steps brought them to a heavy stone door thrown open. Warm, wet air washed over them as they stepped through. The soil underfoot changed to glistening cobblestone. Gil looked back at the door and saw scars raked along its surface. I know where we are. The sewer, Rhea said. And near Ironface's Bend, Gil said. Follow me. He led them deeper down the sewer corridor. Stone walls lined either side, just visible at the edge of the glower's light. The walls occasionally disappeared as passages opened up on either side. He just had to remember the right one. We do have a plan, Millie said carefully. Hammond raised his glower to inspect a broken torch bracket high on the wall. Of course. Don't we, Gil? Stop Wilkes, Gil said. Sure, I haven't devised a lot of plans to sneak into the sewers and nab a fellow student, but don't you think ours is a little short on details? Millie asked. Nobody laughed. They came to another turn in the sewer, and Gil felt it. This is the way. They made it 3 steps before Ash let loose a low growl. The hair along his back furrowed, and he stepped in front of Millie. Then Gil heard it, the deep, heavy sound of something sliding across stone in the shadows.